Call this meeting to order. Mr. Johnson, would you give us the invocation, please?
Yes, sir. Lord, once again, we come before you to handle the city business. We actually look down upon us and give us knowledge and wisdom. We ask you to bless our city, bless our country and this world. Stand with us and go with us in a time like this. We need you as we ever needed before. Now bless those that are sick and shed in. Bless our soldiers that's on the battlefield, I do pray. Amen.
Thank you. Let's stand and give us a pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Bloodworth?
Yes,
Okay, I wanted to make sure you were there.
thank you.
Okay. Are there any modifications to the agenda? If none, I entertain a motion that we approve the agenda as printed.
So moved.
Mr. Johnson made the motion that we amend, the printed agenda be secured, and it's seconded by Mr. Ramey. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion's carried. All right, Mr. Zamora, you're up first. Push that back out of your way, that corner of that screen there a little bit. Just push it.
There you go.
There you go.
Just a minute.
After all that hard work you just doing. All right, first I'd like to thank everyone for being here. Certainly wish it was under...
Speak up just a tiny bit.
Into the mic, we
Yeah.
can't hear you.
Okay. First I'd like to thank everyone for being here. You know, like I said, I wish it was under different circumstances. Unfortunately, it's not. All right, we'll get started. To fully understand everything that's took place, I want to give you all the information and facts, which is why I'm here today. Having worked under the previous administration, I was glad to see change when Chief Williams first arrived. It was change for the better. It was my hard work, love for the job, and love for the city that I lived in that led to many arrests, forming CIs, confidential informants, that led to many search warrants led by Chief Williams when he first arrived. It was also that hard work and determination that led Chief Williams to creating and offering the drug investigator position that I gladly accepted. It was also me who partnered with the Sheriff's Office to participate in Shop with a Cop program. It was me who acquired grants and to fund that program. And let me also add that those funds were also used to fund back-to-school programs which provide school supplies to less fortunate families. I also started a blood drive for the PD, that the PD hosts, which we are going on our third year now. I'm also the one who raised a good majority of the money to acquire a canine for the PD through fundraisers and donations. I'm also the one that acquired certain medical supplies for the officers to help perform their job better. Needless to say, I in no way ever intend to do anything to reflect poorly or badly upon the PD or the city which I work. As time rolled on, everything was great until it wasn't. When Kennedy Lynn and I first started seeing each other, it was unknown to me that she had charges pending with the PD until Chief Williams brought this to my attention. I must add to this that it's Chief Williams who handled the case, wrote the report, sought the warrants for Lynn due to the fact that the alleged victim was a close personal friend of his daughter's that played softball with her. Usually in most cases, it is an officer that takes the initial report, which is turned over to the investigator, and so on. Not in this case. Chief Williams personally handled the case, start to finish, due to the relationship between his family and the alleged victim in the case. It must be noted in no way did I influence the outcome of Lynn's case, nor did I assist her with it. Lynn pled under first offender and got probation. I guess it was my continuance to see Miss Lynn that angered Chief Williams. One day, Lynn and I were at my place of residence when I noticed a white in color vehicle outside taking pictures of my residence. When I stepped outside to investigate, the vehicle drove off. I got into my personal vehicle, followed the vehicle. I contacted Officer Luke. Officer Luke stopped the vehicle. Luke informed me it was Chief Williams' daughter, a juvenile at the time, and that her father told her to come to my house and take pictures of Lynn's vehicle at my residence. I contacted Chief via cell phone, to which he advised he would meet me at the PD to talk. At the rear of the PD, Chief Williams and I had a conversation. He threatened to have my job if I did not stop seeing Lynn. The following morning, Chief Williams called me into his office, had a full written report that he intended on me signing and sending to council. After reading this report, I advised Chief Williams I would not sign it until he put the whole truth in the report, particularly the part where he sent his underage daughter to stalk and take pictures of my residence. Chief Williams advised he would rewrite the report. It was not long after Chief Williams invited me back into his office and advised he had took care of the situation by speaking to me, ripped up the report and threw it away, which is why you don't have this report before you. I guess he did not want his poor judgment to reflect on his character by threatening me and sending his daughter to stalk and take pictures of my residence. It was this fallout that led Chief and I to take different paths, which felt like I had a target at that time on my back because he could not control my personal life. Chief Williams advised that Lynn and I's relationship reflected poorly on the department. In my opinion, it reflects poorly on the department when it seems like favoritism by the Chief of Police when he personally handles case from start to finish just because the victim is a personal friend of the family. It reflects poorly when the Chief of Police violates policy by allowing non-city employees, his family, and friends of his children to ride in a city-issued vehicle. On one occasion being during a hurricane, when road conditions were at their worst and his daughter and several of her friends were in his city-owned vehicle. It reflects poorly when the Chief of Police continues to violate policy weekly when he uses his city-owned vehicle to pick up and drop off his wife, a non-city employee, for lunch. It also reflected badly when a significant other of an officer who is a convicted felon is allowed to stay in the same residence as a city-issued firearm, which is a crime. I also think the citizens would agree that it reflects poorly when the chief and two officers at his times are allowed to miss work to do personal private investigative work for Councilman Bloodworth's private business, but yet still get paid by the Chief of Police filling in their time card saying they had work that day. Again, those are just my opinions. To address the incident that led to my first suspension, I take full responsibility. I had just found out the woman I had a child with was cheating on me yet again with the same person our relationship had just moved on from. I acted out of character, and for that I'm sorry. I accepted my punishment, I was demoted, my pay was cut, and let's keep in mind this incident was 9 months prior to the most recent incident. Right now in front of you we're given a packet with information I'll refer to shortly. In reference to the most recent incident which led to my termination, Lynn and I had a falling out which stemmed from several incidents prior to the incident date. On May 7th of this year, I took back possession of a vehicle that Lynn and I both owned, me being the primary and her a co-signer. After I took possession of the vehicle, Lynn contacted the Sheriff's Office, to which Deputy Scott Nunn responded. Deputy Nunn contacted me via phone. Nunn asked for the tag number on the vehicle and if I took the vehicle. I gave the tag number and advised him I took the vehicle. Nunn advised that's all he needed to know. The following morning, 2 deputies showed up at my residence and advised Nunn took out warrants on me for theft by taking, not for the vehicle, but for the items in the vehicle. During our conversation, which was a duration of 1 minute of speaking to Deputy Nunn, he never asked about any property in the vehicle, never came to see if there was any property in the vehicle. He went solely on Lynn's word. If Nunn would have conducted a proper investigation, he would have known any personal property of Lynn's that was left in the vehicle was left at the Yon's residence, which is family members of Lynn's. Now in the packet I refer you to item 1, which is text between Lynn and I, and me telling her that her property was at the Yon's. And I'll give you a second to read those. Item 1. If you look at item 2, it shows text between me and the Yons where her property was left, where they advised they told Lynn as well her property was at their residence where she had full access to it. Again, if none would have conducted a proper investigation, such as asked me about the property or spoken to witnesses, he would have known Lynn's property was not in my possession. Me taking the vehicle, which I have a lawful right to, is no different than a repo man coming and picking up someone's vehicle. We as law enforcement do not charge them for stealing whatever items may be in the car. as long as the property was returned to the rightful owner in a timely manner. Now I refer you to item 3. On this date, Lynn and I were separated. This is a report from the sheriff's office. I allowed Lynn, when we separated, to use a car which was solely in my name, which, if you refer to the report, is a Chevy Cruze, 2014, I believe. When it came time to give the vehicle back, Lynn refused. I contacted the deputy with the sheriff's office. The deputy advised that he spoke with Keith Ray, the deputy chief of the sheriff's office, and was told I needed to go see magistrate. I contacted Keith Ray and the sheriff, and again I was told I needed to go see magistrate to get my own vehicle back. At that time, I had the vehicle towed. As you see, a report was done for me towing my own vehicle by request of Lynn, but no report was done for me reporting Lynn not returning my property. Also, you see no charges were sought out because, as labeled, this report is a civil matter, which is what the most recent incident was as well, a civil matter. There have been many incidents like this where no action or reports were made. I refer you to now item number 4. This is an incident Lynn threatened to kill me, which is a felony charge in the state of Georgia, in front of 2 deputies. They both heard her, but yet no action was taken, and again I was told to go see magistrate. On 3/31/2020, just a couple weeks prior to the most recent incident, Lynn came to my residence, went through my closed gate into my backyard, and attempted to break into my shed, causing damage to my shed by prying on it with a shovel. I contacted 911. Officer Bush arrived, and it is on his body camera. I advised Bush to contact the deputy to handle the situation because of conflict of interest, and that being us working together. Not long after Deputy Brad Wooten, Brent Simpson, and Justin Sanders arrived on scene, I advised Deputy Wooten of the incident, showing him the damage Lynn caused to my shed. Again, nothing was done at this time, not even a report was written for me. Officer Bush advised me Chief Williams contacted him and asked what was going on. I attempted to call Chief Williams to let him know what was going on. He did not answer, but did respond to a text that he would call me back later. I never got a call back. Now I refer you to the remaining items listed under 5, which shows Lynn's character towards me and how she attempts to use our daughter as a tool to control me and get her way. There have been many more incidents where Lynn has showed up to my residence without permission with intent to harass. I contacted Chief Williams about these incidents when they occur, but again, nothing was done. It was these previous incidents, Lynn's constant harassment, Lynn being allowed to do whatever she wanted without any action, me trying to go through the proper channels but receiving no help from the sheriff's office, the PD, and most recent, which included Lynn not having her daughter for 9 days, but at the same time would not allow me to get my daughter. This is what led me to taking back possession of the vehicle, the only lawful thing I knew to do. And let me add, for those days that she would not allow me to get my daughter, she stayed with the Yons, and they were gracious enough to allow me to come out there and stay the night to be able to see and spend time with my daughter. I know some of you, as you may see, that we have a new vehicle that is in both of our names, and why I would even sign on a vehicle was for the simple fact that it wasn't for Lynn, it was for our daughter, so she has meaningful ways of transportation to get back and forth to daycare, to get back and forth to doctor's appointments that are necessary for her. Because at the end of the day, she is the most important thing. Now reference the most recent report by Chief Williams. He states in there, it does not change the fact I told Zamora if another incident happened, he would suspend pending termination. As you can tell from the reports and items you have in front of you, there have been other incidents involving Lynn, from her threatening my life, causing damage to my property, and coming to my place of residence for the purpose of harassment, but yet nothing has been done. I did not come here today to make anyone look bad or cause problems. I'm here to simply state the facts so you may be able to make a well-informed decision. The simple fact is there was no crime. Going on 6 years of law enforcement, I know I was within the legal realm, but Deputy Nunn had it in his mind from the time he spoke with Lynn that he was going to do whatever it took to take charges on me. He knew he couldn't charge me with taking the vehicle because I had every legal right to the vehicle, so he decided to charge me what was in the vehicle. And by not asking me about the property or coming to see if I had possession of the property or even speaking to witness, he could play to the fact that he only had Lynn's word to go on and only put that information in the report. I also believe Chief Williams knew the charges were bogus because I told him the situation, showed him the text, and the following in the text I've showed you. But he seen this as an opportunity to finally get what he wanted from years ago when he wasn't able to control my personal life, which was to have me fired. Let me add, even after these charges are dismissed, we have to report any arrest to our post records. So even after this, that record on my post will be there forever, even after these charges are dismissed. So it's forever tarnished, as well as my reputation within this city. What I'm asking today is for council to reconsider my termination, overturn it so I may return to work for the city I love. Or at minimum, overturn the termination, allow me to remain on suspension without pay pending the outcome of the preliminary hearing in accordance with 3.11.5 of the City Personnel Manual, which states an employee may remain on unpaid suspension pending the investigation of allegations. But if the allegations are proven false, the employee will receive compensation to which he or she would have been entitled to if the suspension had not taken place. That is all.
Thank you. Any of y'all have any questions of Mr. Samora?
No, sir, I have none.
Okay, we will deliberate what you presented to us, and we'll make a decision probably, we'll announce it Thursday night at the regular meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, let's move on to item 2, is the city ordinance change. This is a, have each of you got that sheet in front of you?
Mm-hmm.
Diane, have you got it, honey?
Sure.
The ordinance change?
I got it.
You got that, honey? Okay, good. This is, we've been working for some time with our attorney to do this, and what we want to do is read this tonight. He said this would handle the first reading of it, and then we could have the second reading on Wednesday night, but you need to look it over in case you've got any amendments that need to be made. If you don't mind, let me follow his instruction and read it. You got
What?
that?
You said Wednesday night.
Thursday night.
Thursday, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I thought we was having a call meeting, okay.
No.
That's all right.
Thursday
Go
night,
ahead.
I'm sorry, yeah. So if you would, let me listen to this. It's an ordinance to amend the ordinance authorizing and regulating the sale of alcoholic beverages by the drink and for consumption on the premises and other purposes in the city of Hazelhurst. Whereas the city of Hazelhurst is undergoing investments in its downtown area for redevelopment and rejuvenating the area, which comprises the heart of the city on Latimer, Henson, South Tallahassee, South Williams Railroad, South Cromartie Streets. And whereas much of the intended development involves on hinges upon proposed restaurants, and whereas the current ordinance governing the sale of alcoholic beverages for consumption has restrictions that would discourage such development because of the changed use of several buildings as a result of economic decline in that area. Whereas without such development, the area and the city will continue to decline, and buildings will be vacant, fall into disrepair, and otherwise distract from the appearance of the city. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Hazelhurst that the ordinance authorizing and regulating the sale of alcoholic beverages by the drink and for consumption on the premises and other purposes in the City of Hazelhurst shall be amended as follows. Article 1, Section 1A shall be deleted in its entirety. Article 2, Section 12A shall be deleted in its entirety, and there shall be substituted in its place the following. No person shall knowingly and intentionally may serve, sell, or dispense alcohol or offer sale of alcoholic beverages within, I've lost it now, if I can find it back. Anybody got this? Yeah. No person shall knowingly or intentionally may serve, sell, or dispense or offer to sell any alcohol beverage within 300 feet radius of a property line of a freestanding private residence. In other words, 300 feet from a private residence, freestanding. residents unless this restriction is waived in writing by its owners and such a private residence within the restricted distance, or 300 yards from any recreational facility owned by the city of Hazelhurst, except any civic center or golf course owned by the city of Hazelhurst. 100 yards of an alcoholic treatment center owned and operated by or licensed by the state of Georgia or the city of Hazelhurst, except as amended hereby, all other articles and sections and subsections of said ordinance shall remain intact. I've read that. This is considered the first reading. Is there any questions or discussions relative to that?
Mr. Mayor, when you
Yes.
say freestanding, what do you mean freestanding?
Individual private house.
Just the house, okay?
Yeah, it's a private freestanding house. It's not connected, or an
Gotcha.
apartment building would not,
Okay.
affect it. Anything else? Okay, we'll consider it read and, we'll ponder on it we'll read it again in our next meeting.
Read and dated
Is on.
15th.
May I have that? If you think about the one I wrote, any footage, Mayor, with any of the churches,
No.
that's the state law, I think
Huh?
I think that's the state law.
This does not conflict at all with any state law. We checked it out thoroughly. If anybody's got any questions, they can get in touch with me. I think that's the best way to leave this. All right, anything else on this item? All right, let's move along. Okay, another, resolution, and this is something that, when did we get this? Bernice, do you remember?
The resolution?
Yeah.
We probably received that resolution 2 weeks ago, Cody.
Okay,
We had to wait for all the verbiage and everything to come from GDOT for the airport.
yeah. What this is a resolution, adopting, our, willingness to accept some CARES money. It so happened that when they, issued all of these funds to try to help the economic impact of all of our doings, and individuals, got a check, and businesses, a lot of people got a lot of money. There was so much designated for airports alone, just airports. And so Bernice and I filled out the proper form to make sure that our name was in the pot. And this is the resolution that we're supposed to adopt in order to receive it. And the amount of this grant or gift is $30,000, and it's for the airport use, and it typifies in the grant what it can be used for. There's 3 different items that it can be used for. It'd be very helpful to us and Cody in operating the airport. And so what this resolution simply says that we are willing to comply, and do we have to read this to you?
Yes, sir, I'll read it. I'm sorry, y'all, but that is one of the things, when you have ordinance or whatever, a resolution, it has to be read aloud. Resolution, authorization to accept Georgia Department of Transportation contract for CARES Act funding associated with Hazelhurst Airport in Hazelhurst, Georgia. Whereas the Corona Aid, Relief and Economic Security CARES Act, H.R. 748, Public Law 116 through 136, signed into law by the President on March 27, 2020, includes $10 billion in funds to be awarded as economic relief to eligible U.S. airports affected by the prevention of, preparation for, and response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Whereas City of Hazelhurst has applied through the GDOT to receive the CARES Act formula allocation of funding through the submission of a CARES Act application. Whereas through the submission of this application, City of Hazelhurst has accepted the terms of the FAA's allegation offer to utilize its funding in a manner that fully complies with the CARES Act, other federal laws and regulations, and applicable FAA program requirements. Whereas City of Hazelhurst desires to request reimbursement for costs and operating expenses at Hazelhurst Airport by submitting reasonable and customary documentation for payroll, operational, and debt services costs. And whereas City of Hazelhurst will receive a contract from the Georgia Department of Transportation, contract number AP020-90XX-G1-161, Jeff Davis County, to provide reimbursement for the above noted costs and expenses up to the maximum amount of $30,000, of which $30,000 will be federal funds, $0 will be the state funds, requiring a local match of $0, and now therefore be it resolved that City of Hazelhurst authorizes the mayor, city attorney, and staff to execute such documents that may be necessary to fulfill this request for federal assistance and accept a contract from the GDOT to include federal funds. Adopted this blank date of 2020, of month 2020.
All right, do I hear a motion that we adopt the resolution and it's for the purpose of getting the $38,000?
Offer motion.
Okay, motion made by Bloodworth and seconded by Johnson. Okay, now any discussion?
So this fund really is not restricted, right? You can
Well,
just.
it's got three different areas we can spend it on out there.
Okay.
It's good areas.
Those three
And,
areas.
I think any other questions?
No.
Okay, all right, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor of adopting the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is adopted. I'll sign it, and by the way, they're already calling, wanting to get all this done. Apparently, they're ready to write the check.
Now, this is first reading, do we read it again
Yeah.
next week?
A resolution does not have to have a second reading.
Okay.
It has to be read and adopted.
So we've got that handled. Okay, let's move along. Okay, CARES Act. Okay, Bloodworth? Mr. Bloodworth? We're down to the Gill Street intersection. Did you want to talk to us about that?
Yes, sir, I just wanted the citizens to know that you have made several trips to Atlanta and talked with GDOT about a light and improving the safety, or a signal and improving the safety at this intersection. I also wanted them to know officially that I have spoke with Representative LaRicca, and he assured me that he and Senator Tillery have prioritized this intersection to make it more safe. So I really feel comfortable and sure that in the very near future we'll have a signal at this intersection.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Bloodworth. Anybody else?
It's absolutely necessary that we get this done. I think here's where the politics come in, and we can depend on both that he just mentioned, LaRicca and Tillery, to help us out with that.
I have been right diligent in working for this, and the DOT said it didn't meet the criteria, but now since it doesn't meet the criteria, I've got it worked so that it will be so modified that it will meet the criteria. So at any rate, so much for that. All right, let's move on. The budget. Y'all had the budget in your hands for several days. You still got, as I told you when I gave it to you a few days ago, you still got time to look it over thoroughly, and if you want any modifications. So, but if you got any questions, I thought what we would do is, in fact, we do need the next regular meeting Thursday night is when we'll adopt it. But I wanted everybody to know that if you got any additions or corrections or questions about it, speak up now. But Thursday night we want to adopt it and keep our mouths shut about it and try to live within it. No questions?
And when the mayor and I were preparing to send this out, if you will notice, following your proposals. You do have last year's budget to compare this to, and the mayor and I thought that would be good, so you'd have both records.
Any questions about the budget? Mr. Bloodworth, you got any?
No, sir.
All right,
That's good.
okay, that's good, let's move along. Some time ago, I think, Mr. Ramey, you were involved a little with this, and, where did we get this checklist from the county? Is this some of the county's handiwork? All this is, folks, is
That
a,
particular one, the
is
first time I
a
saw it,
vehicle, is a vehicle inspection sheet. And I'm glad Mr. Swain just came in. We want this put in all of our vehicles, and it'll have to be in some kind of, form that it, won't get messed up. And it starts off with headlights, brake lights, hazard lights, parking lights, turning signals, then it gets into tire pressure, and, then it gets on down to brake fluid, motor oil, transmission oil, gets down to brakes, air leaks, air filters, windshield wipers, mirrors. This is a checklist that our people driving these vehicles are to turn in when something's wrong with it, so that it can be scheduled for maintenance. And, I think, y'all, are you familiar with it? Yeah.
I am familiar with it.
I think tonight would be a good time to go ahead and approve this and get it started.
Mayor, may I reiterate, Chief Watson and I sat and talked. Now, he has a specialized form for his department that he's been doing for years and years, so he is going to continue using the form he has.
There is also a specialized one on the street sweeper. That's what started me to get involved in it. And it adheres to everything mechanically that street sweeper needs to do.
Okay, do you want to, but I'm entertaining a motion that we adopt this as a checklist for, our
I'll make a motion.
appropriate drivers.
I'll
Ms.
second.
Leggett made the motion, and Mr. Johnson has seconded. Now, any further discussion?
I think it's something we need to help us with the maintenance of our
Okay,
program.
I call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, let's get this out. Mr. Swain, you'll want to get all your drivers, equipment people, and Mr. McKitchen, you as well, with your equipment. All right, let's move on. We've got a,
Do they drive these vehicles home?
what now?
Do they drive these vehicles home?
No, not all of them, some do.
Okay.
Training on I think this is our oldest serving police officer, Randy Robertson, is going to DARE training in Statesboro on July the 31st up to August the 2nd. I entertain a motion that we approve that.
Offer motion.
Mr. Johnson made the motion that we approve Mr. Randy Robertson's DARE training. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Ramey. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion is carried. All right, I entertain that this is our monthly report that we get on our spending and how we're operating. Item 8, 9, 10, yeah, that's it. I entertain a motion that we approve 8, 9, and 10.
So moved.
Mr. Ramey's made a motion that we approve
I'll
the
second.
normal reports, and seconded by Ms. Leggett. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's taken care of. We're now at citizens' remarks. Stand up, Rhonda, and be counted.
Who is overseeing the kind of research at Gill Street and Jarman where the red posted is at? Who's kind of heading that up?
The commissioner of DOT himself and his staff. I've gone to him, and he, of course, now our regional operation is in Jessup for our region, but this is going on in Atlanta. Well, let me explain a little bit about how this, what's going on here. If you're familiar with the other side of Googe's store, where you go over the new overpass, or you will go over it. And by the way, y'all, it's just about ready to go over. Right there on 341 going to Brunswick, you've got 4-lane highway and turning lanes from here to Brunswick. Mr. turning lane and 2 other lanes on either side. If you come 6/10 of a mile back down this road through town till you get to Captain D's, if from Captain D's to Atlanta, you've got a 4-lane road and a turning lane. In other words, what I'm saying is where this car is turned upside down, there's no turning lane there. There's just 2 lanes of traffic here and here.
Right.
And if one's waiting here to turn left, you can't see this car coming here, and it's just, they won't let you put a traffic light there. So I've been told that, with what, and I'm on that, executive committee of the T-Splosh, I've been told that we are going to get that segment of, from the overpass to Captain D's, restaurant there, 4-lane with a turning lane, which will put us where we can get a traffic light there. But it's instead of it being where I could get a traffic light there for $200,000, it's taking $10 million to do what's gotta be done to the street to get the blooming thing, but I've been assured that we're gonna widen it from Captain D's to over here. And, everybody says, when's the city council gonna wake up? If I could put a light there, I'd have already had it there. But I don't mind people barking and moaning, groaning, and complaining, to hell with them. Go ahead.
Let me ask my question. The reason I don't know who's overseeing it locally, we need some statistics as to how many wrecks has happened at that
Honey,
intersection.
we've got a list as long as my arm. That don't make a bit of difference how many wrecks are there. You can't tell DOT a thing. You can.
We ain't squeaking our wheel enough.
Huh?
We ain't squeaking our wheel enough.
Well, I've squeaked it to the point that it's got to have that turning lane before they'll put a traffic light there.
Well, DOT, I know like statistics, and if we could go and figure out how many wrecks has happened since the bypass closed versus how many had happened prior to the bypass was closed, and now you brought up a third question from me. If you're gonna widen it from Captain D's back down to Gooch's, how many wrecks has happened at all 3 of them intersections up in there?
That's right. Well, that's the only way it's gonna get done, and that's what we're working on, and I've been told that we will get it. But it's, like I say, it's a $10 to $12 million project.
By the way, the state's gonna be, funding that, not pay for her. We ain't got the 10 million.
Okay, other remarks? Hey, I haven't answered your question. We've got a record of every accident that's happened there.
Yep.
And, just like these pictures, see, we've got even pictures.
I know we got records at the police department and at Georgia State Patrol, but I'd like to know if anybody could tell us off the top of our head how many's been there.
Just count the number of days, and it's, what, 1 or 2 a day.
That's off the cuff, but that's pretty close. The records we can, Rhonda, and feel free to, make contact yourself. The wheel squeaks, you're right, but we have run into political challenges, with this. We all feel that we need that. It's crucial. As you know, I even, come that direction myself most every day. And, it's a problem. And, when DOT came also with that and, checked and counted, they even witnessed that several almost wrecks, but that wasn't good enough for them.
Ronnie could buy that land and develop it there, like you said about 6 months ago, we followed up on it, and she developed that, remember you said they would put one there?
Yeah, it's got to have a turning lane.
Yeah.
That's the thing that they really, are there any other citizens' comments? Okay, we'll move on to mayor and council. Okay, lady and gentlemen, you got any comments?
I don't have, Mr. Matt, did you see this? But I'll talk with you.
We've got laying on our desk up here, a notice that we've just gotten. In acquiring the right-of-way, for a 12-inch water line that we're putting down to connect Gill Street with the other water system and carry a 12-inch line out to serve a $50-60 million installation out with Beasley. We have all sorts of trouble. We've changed that thing and several times, and we're running behind, but we're about to get through. The last set of easements we need to lay that pipe in the ground was down here on a tract of land. If you know, when you go out from Gill Street, at the bottom of the hill, Walter Thompson's got a fish pond there. At the bottom of the hill, if you look to the left, there's a fish pond. Just this side and connecting to that fish pond is a lot that a Mr. Smith owned. And, we asked him about getting an easement to bring that line out there and connect down to our Gill Street well. And Mr. Smith said, look, I've been trying to sell that thing. He said, I'd rather give it to you, and you give me, the value of the lot as a tax break. Apparently, he's made a lot of money. The tax break is worth a good bit to him. So he deeded us that lot. We only need 40 feet across there. And now we've got that, pretty good sized lot down there by that pond. So it suggested to us there's some people interested in buying the lot. I don't know why the man didn't sell the lot, but he said he'd tried and couldn't. But at any rate, we've got an interest in some folks buying it, that we can't sell a lot without putting it up for bids. So what we have before us here is the city of Hazlehurst, will we be accepting bids for sale on a city lot located on North Gill Street? The minimum bid is $10,000. The city reserves the right to refuse all bids. Between now and Thursday night, smoke this over, check it out good, and see if you're in position to vote to do this. Is that okay with y'all? All right, where are we now?
We're still in comment.
Yes.
To the council, I reached out, if you looked in our email from GMA, they sent us an email on GMA getting involved in a lot of language to the state capitol by changing some of the laws as far as certain things that's going on. They requested that they wanted to know if we felt like they should be involved, and I, on my behalf, say yes, that I think that GMA should represent the cities in this, and they've got a lot of feedback, so they going into putting their support behind hate crime, hanging, everything. GMA is going to be in there. If y'all look through that email, you'll find. So now, on my behalf, not on the city, that I thought that they did need to be a part of that.
Okay. If you've got that email?
I'm pretty sure I have.
Yeah.
Matter of
It was supposed to
sent to us.
be. Yeah, it was in there.
All right. We'll see that all of us look at it and let's read it, and we'll be in position to make a decision about it Thursday night. Does that suit y'all? Okay.
Yes.
All right, anything else? I'll get that. Okay, downtown where our old city hall stands, and this that I'm about to present to you now is in that area. Our old city hall, and eventually the jail will be moved, and that property. Of course, now here again, the county owns a segment of the sales themselves, but most of the shelter in the old city hall two-story building, and across the street where the city hall was back in the 30s and 40s, and the old jail, little building about, it's not even near as big as maybe from this aisle here, up there, you know where the little jail is. Mr. Coppedge is refurbishing and working hard downtown. He's already got 2 complete nice apartments. I don't know whether any of y'all had the chance to walk in those apartments and look at them, but they've already occupied. Well, one is already occupied, and the other one has been leased. He's wanting to move on down the line, doing some of the same thing with the James Stankwich building, which is another 2-story building that he's wanting to have some little townhouses up there, and the other to have some business downstairs. When you get there to our vacant lot, he wants the same thing that I want there. I want that as an open, nice little city park. But with him developing that area, then we need to help him. And he got to the point to the jail itself. He wants to get a lease on that jail. I told him, I wasn't gonna, of course, if y'all have the right to overrule me if you want to. But I told him I wasn't going to, recommend that we, sell it to him or give it to him. But I would recommend to the council for a, 40-year lease, 50-year lease, some kind of lease arrangement, that he could do whatever he wanted to. But at some point, the old jail has got some historic value, but he can modify it and use it for a little coat stand. I don't know exactly what his plans are. So when we got to talking about it among ourselves, we decided that we ought to talk about it here, know that he's wanting to develop that, and tell him to come up with a plan and present it to us, and then we would be in position to tell him what we could do. If he sort of gives us an idea of what he's going to do. But I think with him trying to develop it, I think in my book right now, I don't want to discourage him one bit. In fact, then once he gets that done, he's willing to go over across the road and the old city hall and do the same thing. So if the man's making a whale of an investment, and if he can make it go, if it'll be profitable, and I don't think we need to do anything to slow him down, but to continue to encourage him, because I think that would be just great to look at the development, and of course Rory and Joel are doing the same thing. They're going to have a living section in one of their buildings down there, and I think this thing, we might become a very unique little town if we can get all this put together for people to come and visit and look at what can be done with an old downtown area. So I wanted to present that to you. You've got this little flyer here about the sale of the other piece of land, and y'all begin to think about it, and let's try to make some good decisions, and if the man is moving in the right direction, to try to help do away with some property that's just been thrown away, we need to do everything we can to do that.
I'd like to see his plan, and I do commend him for all the good work that he has done down there, but I'd like to see what he plans to do, in the future with what you're talking about there, and what areas that, he wants.
I pretty much told him that. I said, I'm going to bring it, I haven't even brought it before the council, but I'm going to put the burden on their shoulders Monday night, and we'll begin to try to come up with what we want to do, but you try to get something together and we'll look at it. Okay, what have we left out? Now we're behaving right. We're 46 minutes. That's the way it ought to work.
Well, I thought we was having fun.
Sometimes it's not too fun. We will say, and I hope I've been negligent in doing this, we've had somebody, all of you are distinguished here, all of my friends and important. You too, Mr. Moore, I think a lot of you. You're a good man. But we've got our industrial authority, the Chamber of Commerce, and the owner of the Georgia Power Company here. He treats us like he owns it. When we ask for something, we get it. He's mighty nice. We're glad to have y'all here.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Mr. Johnson,
That's all?
that's it.
No, it's time for me to get started.
No, you...
Mr. Mayor, let's go home.
Hey, wait a minute, Bloodworth?
Yes, sir.
Johnson just moved, we go home.
All right, I'll make a second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're going home.
Thank you, John.
Conrad.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.